Today I'm bringing you a book review for Brigands Breadknives by Travis Baldree. This is the latest story set within the world of Legends and Lattes, one of my favourite books of all time. And this, if you don't know, is out now. It is releasing the day that this video is going live. So I'm very excited to talk to you about this book today. I was very kindly sent a copy by Book Break in order to bring you this review. I'm actually part of the blog tour, so I will leave the schedule for that either on the screen somewhere or in the description, just in case you want to check out other creators' reviews. This video is going to be spoiler free. I'm not going to be spoiling anything to do with this book or any of the other books, because I think that that's actually quite difficult to do with cozy fantasy when it's more about the cozy atmosphere and the vibes. But I do want to set some expectations for this, because this is quite different to the other two books in this series. For starters, it follows a different main character. So if you don't know, Legends Lattes is the first book in the series. This introduces the character of Viv, who is an orc that decides to give up her warrior ways in order to open a coffee shop in a place where they've never heard of coffee. It's very cute, very wholesome. It's got found family, and it's about the process of setting up this business and the people that help her along the way. Bookshops and Bone Dust is then set about 20 years before Legends and Lattes, and it follows a younger Viv when she's injured in battle and has to go and recuperate in this small seaside town. While there, she comes across a struggling bookshop and she ends up helping revitalise this bookshop. It's about the love of reading, and the owner of the bookshop where Viv is helping out is called Fern. There she is, right there. She is a ratkin, and she becomes the main character in Brigands and Breadknives. This is set not long after Legends and Lattes. Fern is going through, I always struggle to say this word, but she's going through an existential crisis. She feels like something is missing from her life, and so after chatting with Viv, they've sent letters to each other, she decides to reconnect with her old friend and move to the same place where Viv is at. This all happens very quickly in the book, and unfortunately it doesn't solve all of her problems. She's moved her life across the country and still feels like something isn't quite right. So she drowns her sorrows one evening, falls asleep in a cart, and wakes up miles from home in the company of this elf who is also a type of bounty hunter. I would describe this as a cozy adventure. There are fight scenes, there's more action than in the previous two books combined, but it is about Fern going on this adventure with a group of characters who I loved. I didn't love the fight scenes in this. They were just kind of there for me. It wasn't like I was super engaged with those, but they didn't overshadow the rest of the book, and I did still really like the characters. I really like travelling stories. I think that might be an unpopular opinion. I find that they can really help you connect with characters because you're seeing them in close proximity, and you're seeing all of the different personalities and how they're clashing or how they start to warm to each other, and there's just so much opportunity there. And I feel like the travelling aspect was done so well in this. It actually randomly reminded me of a book that I read as a kid. It was one of my favourite books as a kid. If you've ever read Beyond the Deep Woods by Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell and the Edge Chronicles, it reminded me a little bit of that, and so it felt kind of nostalgic. The elf who Fern is travelling with is quite mysterious. She has lived for centuries, and like Fern, she also feels like she's going through the motions and she doesn't really have a passion for her job anymore, but Fern maybe helps her to see a different side of things. Fern does have a bit of a potty mouth, and I wanted to mention it because I don't remember that being the case in Bookshops and Bone Dust. Maybe it was and I've just forgotten, or maybe I didn't notice because Fern isn't the main character in that book, but there's a lot of swearing in this. The first word even is not something that I usually pick up on, but the fact that I noticed it tells me that maybe it was not necessarily excessive, but there was more swearing in this than I remember there being in the previous two books. My favourite characters in this though were actually the side characters, and I don't want to say too much about them because I feel like it's more enjoyable maybe if you discover them for yourself. But on the end paper art, I don't know how well you can see that, you may notice there's a little goblin character here with the red hair and the red eyes. She was my favourite character. She brought this chaotic fun energy that I just loved. There were parts of this that made me laugh out loud, and there was just that sense of almost childlike humour that I just found really entertaining. Apparently there is a short story that follows that character, and I really want to check it out. It's only like 25 pages, but I need more from this character because they really made the book for me. This is a book about friendship, and I really appreciate the author's note at the end where Travis Baldree talks about the intention behind this book and how it is a story about the grief of disappointing your friends. Fern sends letters to Viv throughout this book, and I felt like you could really feel that. You could feel the weight of her feelings, but it wasn't super in-depth. This is still a cozy fantasy, but I think that really did come across in the writing. There's only the tiniest hint of a romance. It's one of those where blink and you'll miss it. Compared to the previous two books, it has even less romance. So again, I just wanted to set that expectation. It's also not sapphic, unlike the previous two books. I think this also has the most fantasy plot out of the series so far. It's not about the process of setting up a business that happens to be in a fantasy world. You do get to see other areas of this world. There's even a map. There we go. I don't know how well you can see that because I can't see you right now, but I really loved how the world expanded. It felt like a more lived in world. We got to see all of these different areas, these different terrains, and meet so many new characters and different types of characters. Again, I think this feels the most fantasy out of the previous two books. I think Legends and Lattes has the least kind of fantasy elements, and then they were expanded a little bit in Bookshops and Bone Dust because there's a whole side plot involving a necromancer. This, I think, is the most fantasy. How many times can I say that? I haven't decided yet between a 4 and a 5-star rating. I think I'm probably going to go with a 4.5. I really enjoyed this. I can see some people maybe not liking how much action this has. Also, it does feel really different, obviously following a different character to Viv, but I think if you're in the mood for a cozy adventure, then this is really good. It's really well done, and if there are any more books that come out that are set within this world, then I will continue to read them. I would love to see more characters, more places within this world, because we got to visit a few of them in this book, but I always want more. So that concludes this review. Let me know if you're excited to pick up this book. Let me know if you've read it already by the time you're watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.